name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, one God, Amen. Of course, it is Abuna Shnoda's humility. I wasn't his Sunday school teacher or anything. We were just serving together in Sunday school. And Abuna Abraham was actually the priest of the church at that time when we were deacons. And I had also the blessing to serve with Abuna Yusuf as a guest speaker when he was the head servant in San Mary and San Abraham in Ajax. So I got the blessing of the three fathers that you guys are blessed to have them all. What a great blessing. As I learned today, that the talk is about dealing with spiritual weaknesses. Dealing with spiritual weaknesses. And today's topic is overcoming immorality or lusts of the flesh. That's what I got from my fathers. And maybe someone will say, maybe that talk is maybe convenient for the little ones or young youth or those who are teenagers. But when I got the topic, I remembered one thing that Abuna Tadros Ya'ub Malati said. He experienced something strange for him at the time when he was newly ordained as a priest. A girl came to confess, and she told him that she committed adultery. And he was disturbed like a young girl, to commit adultery. And she said, but the one I committed adultery with insisted that I tell you how old is he. And Abuna said, by all means, it doesn't matter how old, sin is a sin. So she told him he's over 70. And he got really disturbed at the time. And he said, as all of us, he thought that adultery or lust of the flesh is something for young youth, but he was disturbed that someone over 70 committed that sin. And he went to his father of confession at the time, Abuna Mikhail Ibrahim, the great father of confession for the popes and for many spiritual fathers. And he told him, do you know why God allowed you to take that confession when you were just newly ordained as a priest? And he said, no, I have no idea. He said, because God wanted to give you a hint at the beginning of your spiritual life or service as a priest, that never trust your flesh, never trust your body. We're all weak. We're all going through this spiritual war with the devil. Regardless of how old are we, what we do, whether we serve in the church or not, or in any capacity, the devil is the devil, and sin is sin. And no one should trust his body. That's the lesson he got, and I believe it's a good message for all of us as well. Why the lust of the flesh is something difficult to resist. And sometimes when you chase the lustful thoughts away, they come back. One of the most difficult sins is to fight as we are fighting against a favorite sin. Because it has some pleasure comes with it. And not only that, but every time I keep sinning for a while, I'm not only fighting the sin itself, but I am fighting the habit that's been established. So it's not the sin only, but the habit that I built over the years. That's why sometimes this lustful thoughts or lust of the flesh continue with one person from the teenage years to the youth years to adulthood to even after marriage and even after becoming at old age. Why? Because it became a habit, and it's very hard to get rid of a habit. Even on a spiritual note, on a positive note, it's hard to build a spiritual habit. If someone will start praying the Matin prayers every morning, it's hard. Sometimes I'm going to wake up late. Sometimes I don't feel like praying. Sometimes I don't feel like reading my Bible. I don't feel like leaving home, especially in winter times and the cold and the snow, to come to church. So to build a good habit is hard. And to get rid of a bad habit is even harder. That's why the church is giving the title of the strong Saint Moses the strong. The church is giving him that title, not because he was strong in his physical appearance. That's true. But actually because he fought against sin and against all the habits that he built over the years. He used to rob people. He used to commit adultery. You name the sins that he committed during the early years of his life. And to get rid of all of them, it was very, very hard. The church history is saying the lustful thoughts was attacking him exceedingly. Till one night, every time he goes to his cell, he will be attacked and fall into sin. So he will go to his father of confession. Do you know how many times he went in one night to his father of confession? 11 times. Can't imagine. Sometimes it's hard for us to go one time a year or a lifetime. It's heavy. That's why sometimes when people, especially youth, come for confession, it's heavy to say that I sinned or I fell into lust. They always say, they keep it till last. They say, okay, I lie and I swear and all that's normal stuff. Of course, nothing is normal. Sin is a sin. But then the big one that's heavy and it's hard to say it. And sometimes we don't feel or don't have the courage to say it. But sometimes we write it down. Abuna, can you read this? That's what I did. I can't say it. And actually one of the saints said, sometimes it's so easy to fall into sin, and it's so hard to confess about that sin. The devil is making sin easy to commit. But repentance and confession is hard to do. Right? So, why it is hard? As I said, there is part of it because we really love it. And excuse me when I say sometimes we love it more than God. Because I read an article written by a German author. He said at the time of sin, especially lust, I can't remember anything, as if it's clear mind. I'm blocked, or I am in a coma. Nothing would seem real. Nor God, nor eternity, nor saints, nothing, or church or anything would seem real at the time. Only sin would seem the real thing. That's why we committed sin easily. There was a nice verse that says, the stolen water is sweet, and the bread taken in secret is delicious. That's in the book of Proverbs. The stolen water is sweet, and the bread that's taken in secret is delicious. You know why? That's why when we commit any sin in the flesh, or when we lust, we can't expose it. We go to our room, we lock the door, no one would come. That's why I'm gonna give you a strategy that may help at the end to fight sins, especially the lustful ones. The problem with that sin, it's like any kind of addiction, like alcohol, like drugs, believe it or not. People take alcohol or consume alcohol or take drugs because they want to feel out of their problems. I want to go somewhere else. Normally, people take this kind of drugs or alcohol when they are stressed out or suffering from any failure. I want to have a relationship and I can't. And I'm getting older every year. I want to pass that exam, but I can't. I can't focus on study. I want to get that job, but someone else took it from me. I was around people, they were all talking, and I couldn't find my chance to talk. I'm a shy person. I couldn't find my spot among others. And I go home very stressed. That's why some people, instead of running to God, I'm running from Him, and I'm actually running from myself, from my failures. And as some people go and consume alcohol or take drugs, some people go and start being indulged in lust and in sin. Not only when we are stressed out, but sometimes when we are having more time. I'm having time and I'm having energy. And those two are the worst enemies of anyone. I have the time and I have nothing to do. So why don't I surf the net? Why don't I look into maybe inappropriate websites or movies that I know they are not good movies or shows? Even listening to music, I feel sorry for our youth. It's very hard nowadays to find a clean song, whether it has swearing or lustful words. So the devil, as I said, make us feel the urge to sin or to run away from our problems. He doesn't give us what we feel after committing the sin. The sense of guilt, the sense of loneliness, the sense of depression, the sense of being beaten by the devil. One of the greatest experiences I've ever had, and I try to tell others experience it as well, is the early liturgy. We are blessed to have in the church an early liturgy, 5 to 7 in the morning. I know many churches do that. But to wake up early, like at 3:30 or 4 in the morning, especially in winter time, leaving the nice warm and cozy bed and go outside and shovel some snow and go to church early in the morning is not fun. And sometimes you're half awake. May God forbid we don't do any accidents on the way. But the sense of victory we get after the liturgy is unbelievable. You feel like you've beaten Satan. He wants you to sleep and to be lazy, but you beat him by waking up early, still dark out there, and you went and praised with the angels. The psalm is saying this: whoever is going to come early, that's the house of angels. He's going to find God. And when we attend prayers, half asleep, half awake, and have communion and go outside and the sun is up, it's like a truly blessed day. I can't emphasize how it's good. You need to try it yourself and see the sense of victory you're going to have. There was one saying, the empty mind or the empty heart is a lab for the devil. So if you want the devil to work on you freely, give him time and give him energy. He's gonna use it the worst way possible. So why should we try to get rid of it? It's hard. As I said, one of the hardest things in life is to fight the lust of the flesh or sexual immorality. Because our spiritual life has 3 steps. In short, the first step in our spiritual life is to change direction. I was going this way, and then I realized it's not gonna lead me to heaven. I'm losing a lot of my time and my relationship with God. So I need to switch. I need to change my direction to the other way. There is the way to hell is wide, and so many is gonna go through it, while the way to heaven is very narrow. It's narrow path, and very few are gonna find it. How can I be from those few to find the way to my God, to my beloved? One of the best things, we just came back from Namibia mission trip. I believe Bishop Joseph was here and blessed many churches around the area. It was one of the best experiences. You know why? Not because we've done anything different than what we do here. We prayed liturgies in there, we did tasbaha, we did prayer nights. Maybe the service was extensive and the kids were wonderful, full of joy. But what got into us more is just simply we gave God 10 days or 2 weeks of our time. We told him, that's a block. Take it all. We're here just to start or establish a relationship with you. So that's your golden chance and our golden chance as well. You can work in us and change whatever needed to be changed. Here you can come to church maybe an hour or a couple of hours for St. Mary's revival, or attend the liturgy 2-3 hours, or a meeting for an hour or more. And that's it. I go back, I go out of here to the same old distraction, the same old thoughts, friends, TV shows, movies, busyness of life, stress of life. So when God starts to work in us, he doesn't have much time because we're so distracted by so many other things. The most beautiful thing in Africa, not only Africa, but we give him the time. That's my life. I know you're not happy with it because I'm not happy with it. That's why we go and we come back different people. We gave God the time to change our hearts. And that's what we need. So if we said that spiritual life has 3 stages, the first one is to change directions. To say, this daily life, this daily sins I'm committing is not gonna get me anywhere. Actually, it's gonna get me the opposite place than what I want to be. So when I change my direction, there is some hurt comes with it. I'm not gonna do the same habits. I'm not gonna sit in the couch the same way. I'm not gonna just look at my phone and surf the net with the luxury of time. I need to stop that. So I wanna start doing something useful. And if I have my 2 worst enemies, time and energy, I would try to invent something. I'm gonna go through few ideas in a few minutes. But why would I do this? I'm really comfortable on the way I live. When I'm stressed out, I know where to go. And it's kind of working. It's a stress relief. I know it's the wrong way, but it's working. St. Macarius the Great said, the well is deep, but its water is sweet. البئر عميقة ولكن ماؤها عذب. So it's worth digging and trying and fighting the good fight. And Saint Evram the Syrian said something really, really nice. He said, it's better to die fighting against sin than living into your fall. I'm not going to live in my fall again. I want to fight the good fight, even if I die. Fighting the good fight. There was a couple of people in the church history. One girl, her name is Mora. She was such a beautiful girl, inside out. And one day, the king wanted to marry her. So he tried to convince her to leave Christianity and marry him, and she refused. She didn't even give a room to discuss this. So one of his evil counselors, they said, don't try your hardest with her. Christians are very stubborn. There is only one way to get her. I told him, what is this? He said, if you defile her and let her lose her purity, she's going to be an easy target. There is nothing else to fight about. So he said, that's a great idea. So he brought 4 of his soldiers, the strong ones. He said, it's your jackpot today. There is a girl in the prison. I want you, the 4 of you, to go and defile her. Let her lose her purity and her virginity. And I'm going to give you a reward too. So to them, that was a perfect day or a perfect night. They started dreaming of committing adultery and getting a reward from the king. One of the soldiers heard the evil counsel. He was Christian. His name was Timothy. So he went in a rush and knocked on her door, in her cell, and he told her, there is no time. Don't argue, don't ask for many details. There is only one way to keep you safe and pure. Take my garments as a soldier, my outfit, and let me wear your outfit. You run away from the prison as if you're me, and I stay in your place. She said, do you know what's going to happen to you? I said, I know. Death is waiting for me, but I can't allow them to defile you. So she agreed, and she went out of prison, and everyone thought that she is Timothy. She covered her face. And then the 4 soldiers coming, singing, drinking, dreaming of sin. When they opened the door and discovered the trick, they dragged him and they started beating him out of anger. He ruined their night. So they took him to the king. And the king, once he knew this, he said, do you know what should happen to someone who disobey the king or to play a trick against the king? I'm going to show you. And he said, let's make a procession from the king's palace to the biggest square of the city. And let everyone comes. And I want everyone with any capacity to beat him up, to scourge him, to do whatever you want, and he will be hanged in the middle of the city. So he will be an example before everyone who dare to trick the king. So the procession went all the way from the palace, all the way to the middle of the city. They called everyone, they made announcement That's what's going to happen to anyone who dares to trick the king. And while the procession was going and the man was beaten to almost death, they all heard a voice. Someone was calling Timothy. They said, "Timothy, I allowed you to keep my purity, but I will never allow you to steal my crown of martyrdom." And the soldiers were puzzled. Of course, she was Mora. The soldiers were puzzled. What should they do with this crazy girl? She had the chance to escape, but she came back for whatever called martyrdom crown. And they told the king, he said, "They are both crazy. Kill them both." And instead of a procession of Timothy only, it was a procession for Timothy and Mora going to heaven, pure, victorious, successful, putting Satan, the devil, and sin under their feet. It didn't come haphazard or just by chance, but that's the way they chose to live their own lives. We said to change the direction is the first step, to insist and persevere on that direction, and that will take us to the second step of spiritual life, enlightenment. When everything we used to do with no meaning, the empty prayers, the Bible reading without understanding, any spiritual service that we did it with no zeal, everything is going to make sense at the time. And we're going to start enjoying to the extent, I'm not sure if there is an icon of Saint Arsenius here. Saint Arsenius was the teacher of the king's children. And he left everything and he went to become a monk in Egypt's desert. And when he became a monk, towards the end of his day, he started reaching that level. He fought against sin. That's the first step. But then he reached the enlightenment stage. And his disciple once heard him saying, he was praying around sunset like now, and then he continued in prayers, enjoying, talking with God till sunrise. And when the sun started to rise in the morning, he said, "Why did you come early today? I didn't have chance to talk with my beloved." That's the stage that everything is joyful. But we have to go through change of direction, perseverance, insisting, not going back to sin. And then the last one is when you abide in God and nothing could separate you, like Tamav Irini, Pope Kyrillos, Babram, all those great saints who reach that third level. Let's be practical. How to fight that sin? That's my conclusion today. I'm going to throw some ideas, and whatever works for you, great. You don't have to go through to do all of them, but maybe you can use some techniques. First one, we said the worst two enemies is time and energy. Great, you're awake. So the best step is to keep busy. Try to be busy. Sometimes when we are busy, we can't wait to relax and to sit back on the couch and to enjoy watching a movie without disturbance. I believe that's a dream of every mom who has young kids. I wish that they can go to school so I can have my own time, my me time. But sometimes when we have too much of me time, it turns into a disaster. So keep busy. Even if you don't have anything to do, go and volunteer at church or at home. It's going to be a very shocking and nice surprise to mom and dad if you can go and tell them, "Do you need anything from me?" Really? Normally I beg you to do something at home, but when you go and volunteer, you're keeping yourself safe from sin. Keep distracted. If you feel like the thought is coming, the setting is being prepared that would lead to sin, distract yourself by a phone call, taking a walk, calling a friend, arranging something, reading something. Direct your energy in the right way. Serve. One of the greatest ways to defeat sin is to serve God and God's children. I know some people, I can't of course reveal their names, some people came to me, whether they are young or old, a mix of both. They came and said, we have time. Can we come to clean the church? I said, by all means. Someone was sitting beside me from the servants, and he said, we already have some people to clean the church. It won't hurt. It won't hurt the church to be cleaned twice. But it may help the person to best use their time. Also, you can seek help. Talk with your father of confession. Tell him, I'm struggling with this. What are the best ways? Give me something to follow, so I won't die in sin. Seek prayers from the saints and from the fathers, from your colleagues, your servants, from anyone around you. Tell them, I need prayers. You don't have to reveal anything to them. But tell them, the devil is fighting me hard, and I really need prayers. Also feel for others. When you feel for others, God feels for you. And as you help others, God is going to help you. That's the deal. Don't look down to others as if they are bad people, regardless of what obvious sin they do. Flee from gossiping, becoming proud, or judging others. Be humble, because while you're feeling, I'm down, I can't go lower than this. Go to the gym, or make a gym at home. Exercise. Do something, some activity, just to best use the time and the energy. And a hint for the youth or for anyone who's suffering or attacked by lustful thoughts or bad websites, stay in the common area of the house. Normally the devil would like to take you in a corner in your room when no one is around, right? Don't give him that chance. Change the setting. Stay in the common area where your brothers, your siblings, your sisters, your mom, your dad are around. You won't be able to go and surf the net looking at those websites in the common area. It's like a safe haven for you. You can read something, you can practice a hobby, you can learn something new. I'll tell you something, a technique I used with my own kids. I know they have the luxury of time and energy as they were growing. Don't tell them that, but I used to invent sports so they can be enrolled in, and music, and we didn't try tennis yet. He said, we don't like it. I said, just to try it. Just by taking the car and going there and practice and coming back, that's a couple of hours that's being used successfully. I'm not going to be exaggerating if I tell you they tried almost every sport around. Whatever they liked, they continued, and whatever they didn't, I can't force them. But that was the best way to keep them safe from the devil's traps and tricks. God blessed us here in Canada with beautiful nature, especially at the times of like spring, summer, and fall. You can enjoy nature. You can take a book. One of the best things that we did in Namibia mission trip, that we got a book to read in there, and we sat sometimes to go by the lake in nature, and there was a mountain. The colors was so beautiful, blue and green, and the sky and the sun, and it was truly an enjoyable scene. So I let them try it once when we went. And then when we were about to go to the same place by the lake, I was giving them some instruction what we're going to do afterwards and stuff. One of the youths, he told me, Abuna, Ingiz. Yani, be in a hurry, like we don't want the sunset, or we want to enjoy that quiet time. Once you try it, you'll find like there are so many things that you can do and enjoy way more than sinning. I want to conclude by saying a story I know about Amba Abraham. I know there is a curtain here in his name, and I know Abuna Abraham loves him, and that's why he got the name. And all the Fayoum people like him. I don't know if there are many from Fayoum or no. The key, as I said, is to keep busy, distracted, doing something useful. That's why Amba Abraham learned this way, and to give and to be humble and to serve at any time in any capacity. So the story goes that one night, one of the widows came to the church seeking Amba Abraham. It was almost midnight, and it was winter time. It was raining heavily, and she came and started knocking on the door. And there was a guard in the door. His name is Sam'an. This guy was really reluctant to open the gate of the church. It's late and it's cold and it's rainy, and he said maybe whoever is knocking, he's gonna realize it's too late and he's gonna leave. But actually this lady didn't leave. He kept knocking and knocking and knocking, so he was so bothered he couldn't sleep, and he went and yelled at her after opening the gate. He said, "What do you want in this time of the night?" She said, "I want Amba Abraham, the bishop." And he said, do you have a watch? Do you know what time is it? She said, "I know it's late, but it's raining heavily, and I really need him urgently." And because of her insisting, he went and told him, "There is a crazy lady outside. She wants to talk to you for whatever reason." Amba Abraham didn't say, "It's night time, I should relax, I have liturgy in the morning." All the excuses that very legit for an old man like him. But he put on his clothes and he went down with Sam'an. And he told her, "What do you want?" She said, "It's raining heavily, and I am a widow, and I have 4 children. They are all hungry, but I don't want any food now, but they are all very cold. They are shivering. And because our home is very humble, the ceiling or the roof is not properly sealed, so the water is coming down. And I don't have any blanket or anything to cover them up. Do you have anything, maybe so they can spend the night, and then I will see if someone can seal the roof properly, just to spend this night. It's very cold out there." Amba Abraham couldn't find a solution for her. He can't give her money to tell her, "Go and buy a blanket, it's late." And he doesn't have a spare blanket. So he told Sam'an, the guard, go up in my room. On my bed, there is a blanket. It's old and has some holes in it, but it will be better than nothing. So Sam'an said, I can't do this. It's your blanket. You're an old man. You should respect your age. You can't give her your own blanket. She can't stay till the morning. They're not gonna die if they stay in the morning. But Amba Bram insisted. He started feeling for others and for those kids who are shivering in their home. So Sam'an went. Of course, he was murmuring, Adi Bartam. And then he brought the blanket. And he said, I don't know how you have the guts to take the blanket of the bishop while he's old and he may feel the cold more than your kids and yourself. You're such a selfish woman. But the woman didn't think of herself. She thought of her children. She took it thankfully and gratefully, and she thanked a lot the bishop. As he went up to sleep, another person started banging on the gate of the church. So Sam'an lost his patience. He said, what a horrible night. Where are these people coming from? And why tonight? He opened the door, and there was a man this time. He told him, can I meet the bishop? He said he doesn't have anything. The blanket is gone. If you want to take his clothes, you can go up. So I told him, no, I don't want his clothes or his blanket. I just want to see him for a minute. So he went up again, and he said, there is another crazy guy. Apparently, the hospital, the mental hospital, is getting people outside tonight. So he wants you. I don't know what he wants. So he went down, and he told him, yes, can I help you? He best used his time and energy. That's my focus today. So the guy told him, I was traveling from a city to a city, and I had the flat tire in my truck, and to change it, I have to unload whatever is in the truck. So, and since it's a church, I've never been here before, so I ask you, if I unload my truck, you can take whatever is in there. And he said, what do you have? He said, I have brand new blankets. That's maybe is going to helpful with your service or whatever. And at that time, that's the only time that Sam'an, the guard, was happy. He said, finally, we got something out of these crazy people. And he said, oh, of course, the bishop himself doesn't have a blanket for himself. I don't have one, a good one. And he found them like thick and stuff. And while he was trying to unload to help the guy, not only to help him, but to get the blankets and store some, the bishop told him something very unusual. He told him, do you know that widow that came and took my blanket? He said, yeah. He said, can you please go to her house? She's living close by, and let her bring the blanket. He said, I know, I told you, you're going to be cold, but already we got new ones. You should use those new ones. He said, just go and get her with the blanket as well. So he brought her, and he started, of course, bothering her with his harsh words. And he said, you shouldn't have taken the blanket of the bishop. He's an old man, he's cold. But when she came, he told her, this blanket is mine, but I want you to choose whatever good blanket, or 2 or 3. You know what? Get a blanket for every kid, and take one for yourself. And at that time, the guard somehow lost his mind. He said, you're going to give her 5 blankets? He said, yeah, and I want one last favor from you. You take my old blanket, put it on my bed. He said, you're not going to use any of the new ones? He said, no. the new ones are going to make me so comfy. It's going to be hard to wake up in the morning, do my morning praises, and go to the liturgy. My old one is good enough. It keeps me a little warm, but not too warm, not too comfy, so I can practice my spiritual life. What an example. I wish we all can fight the good fight. Remember كده, the deep is well, the well is deep, but the water is sweet. So it's worth it. And glory be to God forever. Amen.